husband laughed at me during our divorce and left me nothing but a pile of dirt. Turns out it was worth its weight in gold. The divorce was his idea. After 12 years of marriage, he sat me down and said he'd met someone who actually excites him and wanted to start fresh. The settlement meeting had his lawyer, my lawyer, him, and his new girlfriend sitting in the corner like she belonged there. He went through the assets one by one, keeping the house, the cars, and the savings, while I got almost nothing. Then his lawyer slid over paperwork for the farm, his family's land, 200 acres sitting empty since his parents died. He waved his hand and said, "She can have that. I don't want it." I told him it had been in his family for 4 generations. He laughed so hard he had to wipe his eyes. My father wasted his whole life on that dirt. Exposed bedrock, no water access, soil so bad you couldn't grow weeds if you tried. It's worthless, and that's why I'm giving it to you. His girlfriend snickered from her corner. He leaned forward and smiled at me like I was a child. Honestly, I'm doing you a favor. You're 43 with no job skills and no savings, so at least now you'll have somewhere to sleep that isn't a homeless shelter. My lawyer told me I didn't have to accept it, but he cut her off. No, let her have it. She's going to need all the charity she can get. I signed just to get away from him. On moving day, I was loading a rental truck by myself when he showed up with his girlfriend waiting in the car. He looked at my boxes and shook his head. "I really hope you figure things out. It's honestly just sad seeing you like this," he said. "The farmhouse doesn't even have heat. My mother froze out there every winter, so you might want to invest in blankets." He laughed all the way back to his car. The farm was a disaster because the house was falling apart. The fields were overgrown, and the pipes barely worked. But it was quiet, and it was mine, and I was going to make it into something even if it killed me. I spent the first month fixing the roof and the second month getting the plumbing to work, watching YouTube videos until 2 a.m. to learn things I'd never done before. Everyone in town said the land was useless, that his father had tried for decades and failed, but I didn't care because I was going to prove every one of them wrong. By month 4, I'd cleared 2 acres by hand, and even though the soil was rocky, I found pockets of decent earth and planted a test garden. The basement flooded every time it rained, so I decided to dig a drainage trench near the creek. I was out there in the mud with a shovel when I hit something hard and figured it was bedrock, but when I kept digging, I realized it wasn't. I pulled out a chunk of something yellowish that was way heavier than it should have been, embedded in white quartz, and I almost threw it aside, but something made me stop. I took it to a geologist the next morning, and he looked at it, went pale, and said, "Where exactly did you find this?" I told him, and he said, "You need to get your land surveyed today." The survey showed significant gold deposits running through the property because the creek cut directly through a vein almost a mile long, and a mining company offered me $4.2 million for the mineral rights alone. Word got out fast because small towns can't keep secrets. My phone rang at 5 a.m. on a Tuesday, and it was him. "We need to talk about the farm." I said, "You mean the worthless dirt you gave me out of charity?" He said there'd been a mistake, that he wasn't thinking clearly during the divorce. I said, "You sat across from me and laughed in my face. You told me I couldn't grow weeds on that soil." His voice cracked. "She left me when she found out. She called me the stupidest man she'd ever met, and now I have nothing." I said, "Sounds like you should have invested in blankets." He started actually crying. "I'm begging you. We were married for 12 years. Can't we work something out?" I said, "You gave me that land because you felt sorry for me. You said I had no skills and no future, and you brought your girlfriend to our divorce and let her laugh at me." He said, "I made a mistake." I said, "No, you made a choice. You looked at me and saw nothing worth keeping, so you threw me away with the garbage. The only difference is the garbage turned out to be worth $4 million. I hung up. He showed up 2 days later, pounding on my door and screaming my name, so I called the sheriff and watched from the porch while they put him in the cruiser. He was sobbing that it was his family's land, and the sheriff said, "Not anymore, it isn't. I used part of the money to fix the soil and build a greenhouse. The farm turns a profit now." His father would have been proud.